walked up into St James's and my hands, everything, my whole body just lit up. I've got goosebumps all over my skin.
I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 to the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and honest, rider, rider. I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich, throw that.
I love it when we come online and you guys just bouncing away. I love it.
Boss. Never get bored of that song. Never.
No, are you sure?
I love it.
Nah. We always talk about the viewers as well that love it, and everyone, all the guests love it too. So
half of Jimmy. Jimmy's not a fan, is he? Jimmy's not a fan.
We're working him round though. We're working him.
We're working on him.
We are. We're chipping away here and there. We'll get there. But welcome all, Loaded Mag NUFC back again. This time a little bit different. Obviously, if you haven't watched the show last night, Kieran Maguire, you need to watch it. It's a brilliant show. Talks all things anchoring, Newcastle United finances, and in general, sort of finances, with obviously the big news that's all coming out. So check that out. But something a little bit different tonight, boys. A little bit of a Q&A, and I can already see questions in the chat. Some very, very interesting. that's to say the least. But look, let's find out how we all are. Daz, Chris, how are you on this fine Tuesday evening?
All good with me, Peter. We're a bit more relaxed this evening because it's nerves rushed. We're panicked just to get things right yesterday. As it looks like I'm kind of on the sun, with the sun kind of going down here in Galway. But yeah, all good. Busy day at work. But looking forward to having a bit of a chat and see what the viewers want us to talk about. How are you, Chris?
All right, mate. Yeah, I've not been in work today, but it's still been a busy day. A couple of tip runs, doing a bit of painting, bit of decorating. So I've kept myself busy. But no, it's been a nice day actually. I've quite enjoyed it. But yeah, again, always looking forward to doing the show tonight, and it's nice doing an early one as well, boys. I'm quite happy doing an early one, and it's still nice and light outside. So yeah, looking forward to seeing all these questions. I've seen a couple of them in the chat, and they look interesting. So looking forward to answering those. But Pete, how are you, mate?
Not too bad today. Getting towards that deadline day, Friday. I cannot wait. Get those deadlines in. Bank holiday weekend. Cannot wait. But yeah, we're plugging along, working hard as always, and we're getting there. And this is the beauty of everything that we do, Loaded Mag NUFC, is that sometimes people forget that we actually have jobs. We have work during the day, so this is kind of like in addition to that. But no,
and families that we see every now and again as well.
Occasionally,
they pop on and join us.
Yeah.
I love it. But no, let's get into it. Look, there's lots to talk about, as there always is with all things Newcastle United content. And Newcastle United news, and look, there is lots in the news at the moment. But is there anything, boys, that's kind of stuck out for you that you want to start off with a particular question? Because I've got a topic to throw your way. If we wanted to start, there.
Yeah, I think I think we go with the topic, Pete, because we let the questions build up, because there's at least 6 good questions started already. We'll let them build up, and then we'll do rapid fire at them. It's not we are going to answer your questions, but I'm going to get I can guess what you're going to bring up to talk about. But let's see what you have.
Yeah, definitely. So look, of course, the huge topic of conversation today is about this place, St. James's Park, and Luke Edwards has caused a spin, not for the first time, with Newcastle United fans on social media. His article that he put out today says, as an exclusive, Newcastle move ahead with the St. James's Park expansion plans after conclusion of the feasibility study rather than building a new stadium. So, boys, the question to you is, are you happy with the news that there could be an expansion at St. James's Park? Or were you hoping for there to be news on a brand new stadium potentially to be built? What are your thoughts about that news coming out today?
Well, I read the article once, and I know we're going back a couple of weeks. We had a kind of debate, new or extension or expand, and then the different options. And then we talked about the different sites as well. And I know some were ruled out, some were ruled in, and some what you can and can't do, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. All very interesting. No disrespect. It's all very interesting. I watched countless YouTube shows about it and read countless articles about it. So it is very interesting. But and I know at the time we were kind of edging, when I think we had a talking to, and we were edging towards a new build, right? And what that might bring. But then we went to Newcastle after that ourselves, and you just, the romance of St. James's Park, and you get it for someone that lives in Newcastle. You can see why you never want to move. So I'm happy with the outcome, but we still don't know an awful lot more about it. It's kind of like they've 6 months they've supposedly made a decision, but it's going to go back to the council now to make a decision on extending the lease past the 70-year mark, if I recall in the article, and because I'm not going to put in a whole lot of cash and for something that over. That they mightn't still have it, kind of thing. So yeah, it's if there was some kind of blocker there, then that'll be an excuse to say, well, now we have to build a new stadium. But no, I'm happy with the outcome. I'd be very interested, like everyone, to see how it will look or how it will shape up, if it's 60 plus, or what the makeup is, how they can do it as well. It's just interesting from an architectural point of view, how they can actually do it. So a lot of good stuff to come out on that when it eventually comes out. But yeah, satisfied.
Okay, Chris, Daz is satisfied. How are you feeling? And just to add in there, before you answer that, there has been a number of fans that are not happy about this, which actually surprised me. There's a number of fans that are not happy about this potential news coming out today. But are you one of them? Is what we want to know.
Do you know what? For me, I think it was never either or would have made me happy. I wasn't one of those fans who was staunch, we must stay at St. James's Park. I think that I made that clear from the start. Like I'm from Liverpool, as you all know, and Everton are building a new stadium, and every time I drive past it, I think, must be, you know what I mean? They're all very excited about it and having a brand new stadium. And Pete, I refer back to when you and I went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah. It's exciting. It's exciting, and it's state-of-the-art stuff, and it's, it feels like a new era. So I was never opposed to getting a new stadium, got to be honest. Things move on, times change. However, that being said, I didn't particularly want to leave St. James's Park. So really, I was kind of either or was going to be good for me. I mean, the fact that we are staying at St. James's Park, obviously it's a historic stadium. The location where it is in the city, I think everyone talks about it. It's in the heart of the city, the cathedral on the hill, the fact that it's surrounded by countless number of pubs, that's never a bad thing. So it's got its pluses, obviously. And not to mention, there's a lot of history there, not just for me, but for every fan out there. A lot of history, a lot of memories. So, I think it's good news. And as long as the owners are content, that they can get it done, they can get the work done, they can expand to the amount that they want. All that I would say is my final say on this would be, I wouldn't necessarily rule out it being a temporary measure. Like, I still believe that within the next 5-10 years, there's still a possibility that we may end up getting a new stadium. However, I'm really pleased with the news. And if they expand it, to like a 60, 70,000 stadium, maybe even 80,000 stadium, who knows? That would be absolutely brilliant. And we're definitely not going to have a problem filling a stadium with that kind of capacity. So for me, it's win-win. I was happy either way, Pete. What about you?
For me, when I heard it, I thought I was excited. I thought, brilliant. They're going to be able to expand. That means obviously bigger capacity at the stadium, which is ultimately, Jules, which is ultimately the aim, is to build and create a bigger capacity for St James's Park. However, there has been rumours of it, only being sort of expanded by 6,000-7,000, pretty much only to take it up to 60,000 rather than 65 or even sort of 70, and that makes me consider whether it is the right move or not, because 6,000 or 7,000 isn't a massive amount to expand. It's going to cost a lot of money to do it, and I just think, long term, is it the right thing to do? I mean, look, the owners are they can afford it, not a problem. But I need to know that there's going to be an addition to that. Like, we can't have the Gallagher to be extended like the others are, the Milburn and the Leeds End, and then we have the East Stand the way it is. Like, we have to develop that at some point. There has to be a plan to redevelop the whole stadium, because it just won't look right. It just won't. And we've talked about a brand new stadium, and Chris, I agree with you. I think there will be a new stadium down the line, and it won't. It sounds really weird, but I don't think it'll be too long after a new expansion is made that they announce that there will be a new stadium at some point, and they've almost kind of expanded that part of the stadium to appease the fans, to get more fans into the stadium, to then move it on. And it was what was really interesting is Mark Douglas talked about this the other day. He mentioned the fact that St James's Park is going to be used for the Euros in 2028. And I think from what he was saying, they have to confirm 12 months in advance that stadium is set, like that it's all ready to be done. So I think they're announcing potentially an expansion now to get more fans into the stadium for Newcastle United, but also to represent Newcastle United and England with the Euro 2028. Then once that's done, they'll probably go, right, plan 2030, 2032, something like that, new stadium. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start off in a new decade with a new stadium and be able to build. Because I almost kind of see this sort of decade as our building blocks. Like, we're building now as a club. We're having to rebuild ourselves, and we're probably going to use this decade to do that with training ground, new stadium, all the rest of it. And then we're going to hit into 2030, and then we're probably going to go for it, I think, at that point. And we'll still challenge for trophies and potentially win numerous trophies in between that time. But I think that's what they're trying to build, because I've always said it's going to be a long-term project, Newcastle United as the club. So for me, initially I was excited, but then I'm now intrigued to see what the actual plans are and how they're actually going to do it.
There was a lot of talk as well. Maybe I'm looking at the Irish Mags chat as well, but it's pointing towards the Viva Stadium. I'll just show you a picture of the Viva Stadium, where it's kind of high on three sides but low on one. So it could, and I know that's kind of more round than St James's Park is looking, but it could look something similar to that. So that's a Viva Stadium in Dublin, the home of Republic of Ireland.
Okay.
But interesting. So
Well,
we'll see.
There's no reason why they couldn't make it like that. They couldn't make it more round, which would maybe potentially add more capacity that way. There's another that's another kind of conversation on that, but it's an interesting one. But be interested to know what people think, actually, whether they're all for the expansion. Are they happy that if it would only be sort of 6,000 or 7,000 expansion, or were they expecting more? You know, as fans, were we expecting 10, 12, 15,000 expansion? You know, that's what we kind of want to know from people in the chat, really. But it'd be interesting to know people's thoughts.
Right, we'll take a question from the chat to start us off.
Yeah, there's a few in there, I think.
Where do we start? Let's start with Tom Dixon's one here. We'll start at the top and work down. Because Tom always comes with the questions. We don't always get to them all, but let's take this top one. This is an easy one for me. Would you take Rashford from Man United for 25 million? It's a no from me. He isn't even trying these days, is he? He's just given up. It's a joke. So no, don't want him. So we wasted 25 million.
If you'd asked me this a couple of years ago, I'd have said yes. Now, I'm with Daz. It's a firm no. I think his wages would be astronomical, and I don't believe. I think there's definitely talent there, but I just wonder whether his head is really in football anymore. If I'm honest, you know, and let's not forget, boys, he's playing for his boy club, and he still comes across like he's not bothered. And for me, that's a big alarm bell ringing. If you're not even bothered, or you know, you're not putting the effort in, because it's not through a lack of talent. It appears to be through a lack of effort, and that's what's more worrying. So for me, no, because he'd be wanting 250, 300 grand a week, and for 25 million, you know, I do believe Eddie Howe could probably get a tune out of him, but he'd have to be humble. He'd have to, you know, break down a lot of barriers, and I don't believe he'd be willing to do that.
Yeah. I'm not taking Marcus Rashford. He got no chance. I've been slating him for the past year. Even when he was on his purple patch for Man United this time last year, I was still saying the guy is playing shite. And the only difference now is that he's not getting the goals to kind of justify people backing him as a player. I'd be really, really interested from a psychology point of view to understand what's going through his mind, because something doesn't seem right. It looks like he's checked out. It looks like he doesn't care. That's his boyhood club. That's the club that he went through in the academy at. You would expect a little bit more fight, a little bit more determination, a little bit more hunger to want them to succeed. But he just seems like he doesn't care. It really does. For me, I've said it before, best thing from Marcus Rashford, move abroad. Go move abroad. Go play football on the continent somewhere. Maybe where it's nice and hot. Maybe in a league where he probably just have to work as hard and probably still pick up a trophy or two. What's interesting about that, and I don't know if you guys know about this, but apparently, apart from a select few, the whole Man United squad is available for sale in the summer.
Yes,
saw that, yeah.
Which I think tells its own story on that club, and it doesn't seem like all things are rosy at the moment. Yeah.
Show us the money, Sir Bozo.
Doesn't seem like everything's rosy, Sir Bozo, at your club at the moment. Even fans questioning Sir Jim, who still needs to pay the money.
Sir Bozo is a Liverpool fan, by the way.
Because he's got
is he? Oh, sorry, yes.
He's a Liverpool fan. He's a Liverpool fan. Yeah,
my bad. But yes, still, your club's in a bit of a mess as well.
Yeah,
I wouldn't Salagate.
Yeah, I wouldn't want. I'd want Salah to be leaving so you could cash out now. If I was a Liverpool fan, now's the time to cash out.
Let's ask Sir Bozo that question. Do you want Salah to go? And how much are you getting for him?
Good question. Good question. Like the way you turn the tables there, Chris.
Move it
Yes. Your question's answered, but no, you answer our questions. Yes, I like it. Right, time for another question. While Sir Bozo is thinking about that. This one from Callum. With Karius leaving and Dubravka most likely leaving for first team football, would you take Stefan Ortega from City, same age as Pope, or someone younger, i.e. Cavalier from Lille?
I mean, I was nodding away then, so I should say something. Yeah, I would definitely take Ortega from City. I don't think City would let him go, if I'm honest. I think Ortega would be a really, really good signing. I think he'd go in ahead of Pope. I think he's a really good keeper. And certainly when he stood in for Ederson this season, which he's had to a few times, he's not looked out of place. Like he's done the job. He's probably, it's unfortunate, isn't it? He's probably one of the unluckiest number twos certainly in the Premier League, because really, if he played for any other club, he'd probably be number one. But yeah, talented goalkeeper. I'll be honest, Callum, I don't know much about Chevalier from Lille. Don't know much about him at all. So maybe that's one we can discuss in our transfer shows, or maybe Daz and Pete can elaborate. But I don't know much. Or maybe Pete will have to get your Leon on the go, because I'm sure he'll know a bit about him.
Yeah, he does. And to be fair, I watched him home and away when Villa played them in the Conference League. Good goalkeeper, really good goalkeeper. I think he's quite young as well. I don't know the details on his age or anything like that, but I think he looks quite a young goalkeeper. But yeah, really impressed with him. He'll have some suitors in the summer, that's for sure. Obviously not perfect. We've still got areas to work on. But yeah, lots of good goalkeeper. The thing with Ortega is that actually at times he looks better than Ederson. Ederson's a better kicker than him, so distribution is better, but his all-round goalkeeping ability, I think, is just as good as Ederson. And it proved the point that when Ederson was back fit, Ederson actually went straight onto the bench and didn't come straight back into the team, and Ortega kept his spot. And I thought that was quite telling, actually, in that situation. But I'd take him. I don't think City will let him go. Why would they? I think there's rumours that Ederson could miss the rest of the season now, so he could actually be their number one to see them through to the title. So I don't think he'll be going anywhere anytime soon, in my opinion. But the goalkeeper situation is a great question, Callum, because it is a question that we're going to be asking on the Funny Loaded transfer shows. Callum just said Chevalier is 22.
Oh,
Chris.
Great age.
That's it.
Great age.
That reminds me.
I was reading the chat. Sorry, I was miles away.
You're good.
That reminds me. I might play something later on before the show is out as well.
Yes, that's right.
A little taster. On Ortega, for me, I think he's a good keeper as well. I have been watching him for only playing for filling in for Ederson, but no, I wouldn't actually sell him because it's the same age, so not a great age. And I for us to spend money on a keeper, I want us to bring in someone that's young-ish that can be our keeper for the next X number of years, our first choice keeper. So I don't want stopgaps. I'd rather have the second option be that we like blow the cash on number one and then get someone else just to cover to see us through, or promote someone from the youth team somewhere to be part of the first team, let's say. But if we're losing two keepers, and we still have Mark Gillespie.
Is anyone changed their mind? Obviously, Paul Spragg, good point that you put on there. Obviously saying no to Ramsdale for 60 million. But has anyone changed their mind on Ramsdale? Would you consider maybe going in and getting him? Now we're looking like we probably need a goalkeeper option.
No, because I think there's better options out there for that kind of money. Like that, you get Marmashvili, you get Diogo Costa that we talked about in what was our show, the luxury tax show. There's better options.
How much did Arsenal now?
I don't know.
Oh, let me have a look.
30-something million.
Let me have a look.
While you're looking for that,
28 million.
How many?
They paid 28 million for
28, 30, okay.
He ain't worth 60 million. There is no chance he's worth 60 million.
No,
not a chance. No way.
The problem is
as
well that price being quoted. That's just media talk. Because at the end of the day, what did you say, Pete? 28 million.
Yeah.
And it's the worst kept secret in football that Arteta doesn't want him at the club. So that means you've got to take a hit on the player, not pay nearly double. In fact, over double. Like, it just wouldn't happen. If someone came in with 30 million, Arsenal would snap their hands off. Definitely. But they won't.
Yeah. No way. And not the type of teams that he'd want to go to, in all due respect. Like, he was going to want to... Let's look at the situation. We've just talked about Man City. They don't need goalkeepers. Arsenal were trying to get rid of him. Liverpool, they don't really need him. They've got 2 goalkeepers there, arguably the best in the world in Alisson. Then you're going down to Aston Villa, arguably one of the best in the world in Martinez. Then you've got Tottenham, Vicario, they don't need him. And he won't go there anyway. And then you're coming down to the likes of us. Like, would we need him? Are we going to get him instead of Pope? Are we going to pay that money? Probably not. The Man United need him, probably, because they've got Onana, but they need to get rid of him first. And then you go down to West Ham. So we're going down to like 8th place. Maybe Chelsea, with their goalkeeper situation not being great. That's as far down as you're going as an option. And then you're looking at Wolves. Can they afford him? Probably not. Then you're looking at Bournemouth. Then you're looking at Fulham. Then you're looking at, you know what I mean? You're looking at all these different teams. And they're then the probably teams that, in all due respect, he probably doesn't want to go to, because he wants to be playing in Europe and playing at the top level, because he's experienced that with Arsenal. So you're looking at that with Ramsdale and you're thinking there's only really maybe one out of all of those top 10 that you can actually go to. And none of those other teams are going to pay the sort of money that Arsenal want. So it becomes like a dead rubber. He'll probably end up still being there next season for that reason.
Lads, I've got a more important question for you. And I have a follow-up question as well. But it comes to me, McKenna, and he asks, do you wear socks in bed?
No. I do not wear socks in bed. I was gonna. Do you know what? I was gonna try and be clever before, because I saw this question. I was gonna flash my Manscape bills, but I won't, because one.
That's enough of Chris. He's had way too much.
I'm so glad he said Manscape
today.
I'm so glad he said flash his Manscape, whatever it was.
I wasn't sure on the angle, so I didn't want to upset anybody. And also, you probably wouldn't see anyway because of the green screen, so you wouldn't see. But yeah, I've got my Manscape bills on. I do wear bills in bed, but I don't wear socks. I don't wear socks. No. Big no for me. Big no from me.
No. That's not right. Well, right. I have a follow-up. Pete, there's Pete to know as well. A follow-up question. Do you have any superstitions on match day? Because I have one.
Oh, didn't know you have one.
I have for 3 o'clock kickoffs. I used to have a superstition when I played football. I had a real superstition when I played myself, but I've got a superstition for 3 o'clock kickoffs, and that is that I don't turn the TV on to watch the game until 3 minutes to 3. Don't know why. No idea why. I just. It's almost like I try and not think about the game, and then I'll turn it on just as the players are coming out. Like, that's just my thing. My playing superstition was, bearing in mind I was a striker, I'd never do shooting practice before the game. I just wouldn't. I would always have it in my mind that I don't want to get my best shots off before the game actually starts. I'd rather just wait and do it in the game. It's interesting because I think who was similar. There was a couple of strikers that are actually quite similar, that they didn't like shooting before a game. I can't remember who. There's actually a Newcastle player. I can't remember who it was.
Interesting that we didn't get the opportunity to warm up when we played Newcastle Fans TV. So that was just probably a coincidence. My superstition is on the match day, I won't wear any item of clothing that has the same color as the team we're playing.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I just have this thing. I don't know why. When you get dressed, you go, "No, we're playing them today. I'm not wearing that."
Yeah, I know. I see it.
Why?
I see it. Interesting. Very interesting. Good question.
Chris.
Yeah. Oh, I'm dead
And
boring.
for-
I haven't got any. I haven't got any when I played. Obviously, I still play my 5-a-side. I don't have any superstitions for that, and I don't have any. I don't have any superstitions on match day. Weirdly, no. I just. No, I just. A bit like what Pete tries to avoid. I just think about the game all day and panic over it all day. So maybe I should start doing the 3 minutes to free, Pete. Maybe I should start doing that.
Yeah, I don't put the TV on like on that game any at all. Like if it's like if it's a late kickoff or an early kickoff, then I will watch it, but I won't probably turn it on. There's probably another superstition. If it's a match, I probably won't turn it on until like at quarter past. So if the game kicks off at 12:30, early kickoff, I probably won't properly sit down and watch it until quarter past. It might be on in the background and I might be doing other bits, but I won't sit down and watch it until like quarter past, until it's near a kickoff. So I just and I'm the same if it's like an 8 o'clock kickoff on a Monday night, for example. I probably won't start watching it until like 1:45, just something like that. But interestingly, I think Gaz at the Mags says it was Shearer.
I was just going to flash that up. Yeah,
Big Al never took shots in the warm-up. I knew there was one Newcastle player, and I remember reading it. And yeah, Big Al never took shots. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Right. Next question. Geordie Tune for Life. He asked the question: if you could work for any Premier League club apart from Newcastle, who would it be and why? Cheers. This one's easy for me because I would join Man United because I would try and take them down from the inside and bring them down to where they should belong. Down to the Vauxhall Conference.
That's an
So
interesting.
spread the red, loving.
That is an interesting question. If it wasn't Newcastle, who would it be?
And I take it it's working in any capacity, doing whatever job.
Guess so.
I would probably say Man City. Assistant manager under Pep. I'd love that. I'd love it. Not just because it's Pep, but the facilities as well. Imagine training in those state-of-the-art facilities every day. That would be quality. And maybe Arsenal. Maybe work at Arsenal. Just again, the facilities, style of football, just watching them train day in, day out, maybe.
Working with Arteta.
Nah.
You take over him, Pete. Take over him.
Nah, actually, no, fuck Arsenal. Forget that. You know what?
Try to sign Isaac.
Sheffield United. Go back to my roots. Sheffield United. I work there. Bramall Lane. Chris Wilder. Good manager. I do like him.
Good manager.
I like him.
And Chris, for you, if you could work at any Premier League club apart from Everton, who would it be and why?
Yeah. Liverpool.
I was desperately thinking of the answer to this because it's such a good question from Geordie Tune for Life. I think for the reasons that Pete said, forget the manager, but for the facilities, purely for the facilities, I'd pick Tottenham. I think it would be really great to work at that stadium. Honestly, absolutely fantastic, state-of-the-art stadium, really, really nice. And I think, yeah. I think I would choose Tottenham. Yeah.
Cool.
Good question.
That was a good one.
Yeah, very good question.
Let's go to this comment from Alan Thompson. He friend of the channel, Alan. Listen to Kevin Maguire on the new rules. It seems it's the status quo with only the very top teams being affected, and Newcastle will be affected by UEFA rules, only being able to spend so much.
I Yeah, like I said, it was a really good show. Fascinating to listen to what Kieran had got to say. But yeah, it does give you a feel of the status quo, and I think it's because of those UEFA rules and the impacts on us. Actually, you can understand why the rest of the Premier League have gone, yeah, we'll take that, because actually they can spend more. They can potentially spend more off the back of that and maybe benefit from it in certain areas. But the UEFA thing is the one thing that's going to hold us back. And this is what we kind of said last night after Kieran had gone off, is that of course we want to be able to achieve European football. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't grow and develop as a club to continue to be able to spend a little bit more, and revenue and things will be a big part of that in how we grow with the team. Of course, being successful in the Premier League, going into Europe as well, all of these things, it doesn't mean that we can instantly go splash a load of money, but what it means is that it almost keeps the gap where it is and maybe narrow it slightly. And the reason being is because Man City and Chelsea in particular are so far ahead of everyone else in terms of revenue, in terms of the money that they're getting in with their money streams, that eventually, if it carried on the way it was, the gap would just get bigger and bigger and bigger between a Man City, say for example, and a Luton or an Ipswich if they go up this season, or whoever it is. The gap just gets bigger. And that's ultimately what the Premier League want to stop. And so we've actually closed the gap on some of these teams in the last 2 years, and we'll continue to do it again. It might not be as quick as we want, but we don't need to be a Man City or a Chelsea in terms of revenues. We'll probably end up getting there, but we don't need to be there to be able to challenge. We just need to be close enough. So for me, our first target should be whoever is the lowest revenue kind of receiver of that top six. And I think it might be, I'm not sure if it's Arsenal. It might be Arsenal or Tottenham out of that group in terms of revenue and the money they get in. And the closer we get to them and the sooner we get to them, I think at that point, we can be competing. And we can, because we've bought smart. We've got the right people behind us to be able to do it. We've got the ambition to want to do it. Unlike Tottenham, they've got the revenue streams and they've got all this money, but Daniel Levy doesn't want to spend it. At Newcastle United, we want to be the best. So we've got the ambition around us as well. We just need to be close enough to them to be able to really kind of put our money in to get the absolute best. And I think once we get that, like, we'll be laughing. But just look at how competitive we've been even without those revenue streams on the pitch. If we can continue to do that and grow, I think we'll be okay. So it's not the sort of mountains of money that we wanted it to be, but there'll be some benefits there. There'll be some benefits.
Improvement. Definitely improvement, Pete. I agree. Definitely improvement. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's move on. Let's go to Harry's question. So Harry's question says Bruno for captain next season. So we know we have Jamal Lascelles, who's out injured. It will be injured for probably till Christmas or so. We have Trips, who will he be our starting right back or left back or whatever he may play next season. Then we have Byrne, who is doing a great job as captain at the moment, but will he be is starting for us next season, depending on who we buy in the summer window. So that Harry goes Bruno for captain next season. I said, why not? I could see Byrne hold on to it for a while longer. And as soon as Trips comes back, he gets it again. But I wouldn't mind seeing Bruno as captain.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant question, and to be honest, I hadn't really thought about it until Harry just said, because obviously, you know, as you rightly say, Daz, you know, Jamal Lascelles, club captain, Kevin Trippier, like, you know, second in command, if you like, and he's normally the one on the pitch. But yeah, Tino Livramento is going to be pushing Kevin Trippier really hard next season. So what we don't want is to end up having a third choice captain in the team the majority of the time. I think we could see a little reshuffle in the captain, vice captain, third captain list. Personally, Daz is right. Dan Burns done a really good job this season. When he's captain the club. But yeah, I think it will. I think it will be interesting to see if anything's announced once this period of release clause lapses. I don't think we'll hear anything before then. But if that release clause, is gone, it wouldn't surprise me if Bruno was announced as one of the captains, because I think we spoke about this, didn't we, boys, a few weeks back when we were talking about the potential of Bruno leaving and saying, it would be great. He is one of the players who you go, actually, yeah, he'd be a good captain, because I think he would. And, his whole attitude and his passion, and, I reckon he's probably a pretty big voice in the, on the training pitch, in the dressing room. But yeah, it's a good shout, Harry. Very good shout. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't think he'll be given the captain's armband, particularly while Jamal Lascelles is still at the club. I think they'll probably stick with Jamal Lascelles, and then they'll probably include the likes of Kieran Trippier, Dan Burn, maybe Bruno will be one of those select few who get put in it. Yeah, that's what I think will happen. What about you, Pete?
If it means that he stays a little bit longer, definitely, I'd give him the captaincy. We've got a pool of captains, like you said, Dan Burn, but is he going to play next year? Who knows? Callum Wilson's in that conversation. He's been captain before, and he's part of that leadership group. Like I say, Sean Longstaff. There's a few others, Fabian Schär, but I'd have no issue having Bruno as a captain. And to be fair, he epitomises everything you want a captain to be. And there's no better position on the pitch to have a captain as centre mid. There's always something about that centre mid position, just being your captain, being your leader. And I think he would really thrive on that. Equally, I think someone like Joe Linton would as well. I think that either of them would. And I don't think it would be a bad decision. I really don't. So I wouldn't be against it at all. But let's wait and see. Yeah, I think it'd be a good move, a smart move from Newcastle United. Put it that way.
Cool. Shout out to Harry Austin in Texas. Afternoon from Texas. Looking forward to the show. Member for 22 months. Nice one, Harry. Always welcome. Okay, where are we going next? Question from Lee G. Question for Pete, mainly for Pete, which is: are Howe's training, etc., similar to Bielsa's, and is that why we struggled this season when we got hit with injuries? Like he's working them too hard. That kind of a question from Lee.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's a fair point. This is the problem with a high intensity style of football. And we've seen it not just with Bielsa's team, but we saw it with Klopp's team as well. Klopp's team went 2 years of absolute non-stop action football. They ended up winning the Premier League off the back of it. And then what happened the season after? They had an absolute nosedive drop. And with that, I think they only got Champions League on the last day of the season. I think is when they just picked Leicester to it in that season. And part of it is that when your body has been so intense and having to work so hard for such a long period of time, your body then starts to kind of break down. And some of the top managers have really suffered with that. Bielsa has gone to so many teams and always had a short stay there. And that's for a particular reason. Is that he goes in, he makes them super fit, he makes them work incredibly hard, and then when they're starting to kind of teal off, he then moves on. So you always see Bielsa as a top manager, but not a long-sustaining manager for that reason. Because when you're doing high intense, high press, it can only last for so long. And the only way you can continue that is if you then regularly kind of change your team around. And I mean, like moving players on, bringing players in that can play exactly the same style. And ultimately, that's what Liverpool are in this transition now. They've had to get the likes of Gakpo. They've had to get the likes of Sloboslai and Gravenberch and lots of these other players to come in and do the job, because some of the other players like your Hendersons and your Manes have kind of like had to move on because he's had to transition the team. And it's really, really hard to do because there are not everybody can come in and play that style of football. You have to have a certain level of quality, or you have to have certain qualities about you to be able to do it. So for me, I think it could definitely be part of the problem. We've done 18 months of solid, intense football, and we played some fantastic stuff during that time under Eddie Howe. And this was our down moment. Players started to break down, and at this point, we've done really well to continue to be where we are right now, to be in touching distance of sixth place with all the injuries that we've had. And still be fighting and having kind of a say in a European season potentially. I think it's fantastic. However, I do think this is where it becomes such an important summer. We are going to have to move some of these players on that are struggling to play this style of football, and he's going to have to bring players in that are able to do this job. And this is the thing this summer, boys. And I don't know whether you agree with this. We might, and this might bring us on to another conversation, we are going to have to bring players in that fit the system and not necessarily the names that we want. So when we're looking at players and we see players linked in summer, and this is for all of us as fans, we might not see the big sparkly names and go, oh, wow, we need to get him. He's amazing. We might see names where we're going, what, really? But you've got to be able to trust the process, because that player may well come in and absolutely light up St. James's Park because he's able to come in, settle in the style of play and the way we play. And Anthony Gordon's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, but you could see, well, half the fan base could see that the qualities that Anthony Gordon had. Because I did see there was a poll, actually, two polls had linked it again, that when he originally was moving to us, I think 75% didn't want him, which is crazy.
I was one of them, mate. I was one of them. I wanted him from the start. I thought at the time that we'd overpaid for Anthony Gordon, and a lot of maybe a lot of it was because a lot of Everton fans were giving me a load of stick and saying, "Oh, you know, we've sold you the pup," kind of thing. Like you've overpaid for this lad. He's not that special. He's not that good. And from what I saw of him, there was moments where you went, "Oh, that's good." But the trouble was, I think it was because he was playing in such a poor team. I really, really do. And that's not me having a dig at Everton. It's just merely pointing out the fact that he didn't have the quality around him that he does at Newcastle. And I think as well, a coaching plays a big part. Like, it can't be underestimated, the job that Eddie Howe's done with Anthony Gordon. Can't be underestimated. Like, you put Anthony Gordon in a Ten Hag team, he doesn't perform like that. He just doesn't. I don't think he was performing under Lampard. He wasn't. Was it Lampard who sold him, or was it Dyche? I think it was Lampard, wasn't it, who sold him to Newcastle? I think Lampard was still at Everton. I think so. But he wouldn't like, if you stuck him in this Everton team now, I don't think he'd perform. I think Klopp would get a tune out of him, but I still don't think he would be as good as he is now under Eddie Howe at Newcastle. And to link into what you... Oh, sorry, go on, Daz.
No, I just want to say that, like, I wouldn't have obviously seen him as often as you would have seen him, because your household will watch a lot of their Everton games. But no, just I was just amazed by him. The game he played against us, he was my man of the match in that game. I just thought he was everywhere. I just like, he's class, But my only worry was the passion that he showed for Everton. Was that going to transcend into Newcastle? And obviously has. It's just gone to another level now.
The way he was treated, I think, is fueled that fire and that passion for Newcastle United, which is obviously we benefited from it.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Just to tie into what you were saying as well, Pete, about you were mentioning like we may get linked, or we may buy players that we aren't necessarily like they're not the dream stellar signings that we're kind of all hoping for. I think one that could, someone's name who could fall into that could be Conor Gallagher, because that name just will not go away. But Conor Gallagher would fit this system. He would fit this system. And I think he would turn. He would be an upgrade on Sean Longstaff, but a lot of people would say, I don't want Conor Gallagher. Nah, we can do better than Conor Gallagher. And we probably can. But will Conor Gallagher complement the likes of Bruno, the likes of Joe Linton, the likes of Tonali? He probably will. Because you can't have 3 Joe Lintons or 3 Brunos or 3 Tonalis. It wouldn't work. I mean, we've seen it in league title teams, haven't we? Where you've got like a Keane and you've got you've got a Keane and a Scholes, you've got a Vieira, and you've got I'm trying to think of the other Arsenal centre midfielder. Petit, yeah, you know what I mean. You've got a blend, you've got a mix of players.
Yeah,
they can't all be the same player. And Conor Gallagher, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not screaming from the rooftops wanting Conor Gallagher. But if Eddie Howe wants Conor Gallagher, then I'm happy to have Conor Gallagher because, in fairness, I can't really think of many signings, if any, where I've gone, yeah, that was a mistake. That shouldn't have bought him. So got to put the trust in the owners and Eddie Howe.
I've just got visions of Conor Gallagher coming to Newcastle and just being absolutely brilliant. Yeah. I just have and you know why I say this, because I had a similar conversation. We were talking about Kai Havertz on 12th Man, and we were talking about whether he's been a good signing or not. And I think it's a really interesting conversation. And I mentioned, for me, I think Kai Havertz's rise this season at Arsenal almost points the finger at Chelsea. Yeah, I think Chelsea are to blame by a lot of what we're seeing from some of these players. Enzo Fernandez, Moise Caicedo, going even further back, Raheem Sterling was one of the best wingers in the Premier League when he left Man City. Now, nobody even talks about him. Why is that? And then you look at Conor Gallagher, who was doing great stuff at Crystal Palace, is now come to Chelsea and looks absolutely horrific. And I just think you got to look at it. For me, I put it down to Chelsea coaching the quality out of players. They've just been on a downward spiral for so long, going downhill. And I think the players are just getting worse and worse and worse. I would not be surprised if Eddie Howe wants to try and get him on a cheaper deal to get him out of Chelsea. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Conor Gallagher want to leave, because Chelsea look like they're not going to do anything else any different next season under any other manager. And I just think, we were talking about him earlier on in the season, he had the highest pressing stats of anyone in Europe. Yeah. That's Eddie Howe there to a T. That's what he wants his midfielder to do. Yeah. And so I don't know. That's not to say he's not going to cut. He's going to be a Newcastle player. He may well not, but I see your point.
We've gone on about Conor Gallagher for ages, even when he was at with Crystal Palace that time on loan. But my only worry there is that the fee. Yeah, like I would have liked him to come to Newcastle. He looks. Chelsea aren't settled, but he looks settled at Chelsea. He looks like he wouldn't like to leave London. But I don't know. He's a good player. I would not turn my nose up at him whatsoever at all. As you said, he would fit the system, Pete.
The big advantage, I think. Sorry, Daz, I know we'll end this now because we have like a 20-minute talk on Conor Gallagher. I know the thing that intrigues me about Conor Gallagher is the fact that, and this is why I'm specifically talking about him, is the fact that we know Chelsea need to raise funds. Chelsea want rid of Conor Gallagher because he is an academy player, so all of the funds from Conor Gallagher will go in their pot. So it's not like, where they sign a Nicholas Jackson for 30 million. If they sell him for 50 million, they're only getting 20 million back in the pot because the money that they've laid out for them has to be offset. Conor Gallagher is a free. That's why they got rid of Mason Mount. So I wonder whether, Newcastle have kept the powder dry, and it wouldn't surprise me if before, this PSR third year is finished, whether we knock on the door of Chelsea and go, how much do you want for Conor Gallagher? Because bear in mind, they were saying 50 million. Now, I reckon it's probably around 40, 45 million. If we said 30 million rising to 35 million, I think they'd listen. I really, really do. And if you're picking up Conor Gallagher for 30, 35 million, that's good business.
But am I wrong here in thinking that, well, like even talking to Kieran Maguire yesterday, that we're not in danger, but we don't have money to before June, and like we don't have money that we can spend either. We're kind of on the border, let's say. So how like if Chelsea have to need to cash out, cash in on someone, we don't have that money before the end of June or whatever the cutoff is to spend either.
Unless we don't sell someone.
We sell someone before then, and then okay.
Yeah. We don't need to sell anyone. That was the key thing that I took away from
we don't need to sell a Biggie.
Yeah.
But we could sell a Wilson, we could sell a Miggy, we could sell a
before that June date, the end of June date or whatever date it is, and then use that to go like to help Chelsea out of their woes by helping ourselves.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
But another player that's been linked with Newcastle United recently that maybe is not a household name and a star player, but is a talented player. It's had another good season. Is this man that the Chronicle put out, Brian Mbeumo, from Brentford, who we'll probably see up against us at the end of the season. A really talented right winger, a really good player. I think he's got like 13, 14 goal contributions this season, which is an improvement on what Miggy's already given us this year, and Murphy. And he's someone that could come in and do a really good job that I think Brentford would let leave. And he's another one. And there'll be others for sure. But you actually mentioned a really interesting point because, in order for those players to go out, to come in, boys, we'd need a player to go out. And Ben Jacobs today mentions potentially another approach for Miguel Almiron can't be ruled out. So Al Shabab had a 30 million euro fee agreed. I think that was confirmed. A lot of people said it was a load of rubbish, but actually after the window, it was confirmed that was kind of agreed. And some people even thought that he'd actually had his medical, but then decided against the move. If we're getting 30 million euros for Miggy, surely, boys, you're taking that all day.
Yep, all day, because just the multiples we can use then with that cash, and I think Miggy is gone in the summer. No matter what. Yeah, for me,
I'd be surprised if you see him start many games between like now and then the season, like any of the last 4. There's rumours that he's going to be back on Saturday, and be back playing. But I don't. I still maintain Newcastle United are basically saying to him, we thank you for your service, but we need you to move on. Very similar to what they did with Alan St. Maximin last season. And we've got to have these hard conversations. And he probably doesn't want to leave. His family are probably settled, but we need him to move on in order to move the club on. And sometimes that is a greater need than what the player wants. And so that decision is definitely going to need to be made at some point. But, like it said, Daz, if that signing allows us to go out and get 2 quality signings elsewhere, then you got to take it.
No brainer, yeah, for sure. Lads, just want to go in a different direction for a second because Jordy 2 for Life alerted us to something as well. I don't think we were aware of this, but he says, lads, a very serious comment here. A young lad from Sunderland Fans TV passed away yesterday, very suddenly, aged 29. He was called Jack Shields. You might know of him through football. So sad. No, I hadn't heard that, but R.I.P. Jack, and thoughts with the family as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Really sad news. So young, very, very sad. But yeah, obviously all our best wishes and condolences to Jack's family, because that must have come as quite a shock. So yeah, really, really sad to hear that.
Definitely.
Okay. Just to change tact for a second and to reshuffle, just going to play the Radiator Shed jingle. I'm going to call it a jingle going forward. And then we'll go back with some more questions. And you can as this is playing as well, you can smash that like button along the way. Yes, contact Russ for all your radiator needs. Go check out the website and Russ will sort you out. Also, shout out to H2O Bathroom Design Co. Again, check out the website for the latest and greatest there and for all the bathrooms you could ever need. Right, back to the questions, boys. Where should we go next?
I'm intrigued with Yano, lads.
What's going on?
He thinks Miggy's staying this season. He would have him as his first choice on the right. I mean,
Yano that wanted to get rid of Wilson 2 years ago. He was sending him to the championship, and now he wants to keep Miggy.
I'm interested to find out why, though. I mean, I'm intrigued to know more, Yano. Please do tell. Please do tell.
I like Geordie 2 for Life's comment there.
Don't start.
There they are.
Don't start. Oh my god. Never gonna live that down, Geordie 2 for Life, am I?
Actually, I have seen radiators like that somewhere. So they're not just for a display thing. I've seen them in some. No, it's not that I'm really short or anything like that. No, before the jokes start coming in.
White's house?
No, it wasn't Snow White's house. No. Back to slag off, Pete.
No. You guys carry on. You carry on. Do what you're doing. You know what? I'm going to flip the switch slightly. A topic that you might want to talk about. And it's not Newcastle United related.
Oh,
I want to know your thought. I want to know your thoughts on what's going on with Everton Football Club.
What's going? I started something earlier.
Very, very interesting. I want to know what Lisa and Callum's thoughts are on this bad boy. Everton calling insolvency advisors amid fresh doubts over 777 takeover. Harry's just put on there. You just put on Daz. Might not even be a club. I think they will be, but the way it's going, and the money that's being pumped in by 777 just to keep Everton afloat. If this takeover doesn't happen, boys, do you think administration's on the cards before the season's out?
Jeez, no. Something has to happen to save them. It is crazy that a stadium is being built and they're in that sort of situation now. Nuts.
What's the administration points deduction? Is it what is it? Is it 15?
Yeah, is it 15? 10 or 15, but I think it's 15. Anyone in the chat knows that? Put it in. I think it's 15.
You should put that into one of your WhatsApp chats, Chris. Ask that question.
Yeah. Oh, we've been talking about it today. It's been spoken about today. One of my bed mates put it in the chat, and my blue mate came out fighting, saying, "Oh, it's all hot air. Don't be getting all agitated over it." Apparently, the 777 deal is still very much on. Apparently they've provided assurances today when this article was released, and he believes that even if the 777 deal collapses, there's loads of different buyers waiting in the wings to come and take Everton because they've got this fantastic new stadium, and why wouldn't they want to buy Everton? That's what I've been told today. So we're all just sitting there waiting, going, okay, let's see.
Well, what's really interesting on that, Les has just put in there, haven't Everton loaned money from 777? I think they have. I think they've loaned the best part of 200 million and rising of how much they've loaned to keep the club afloat, and we'll need to pay it back in full if it goes wrong. Definitely. And this is the thing. this is the thing. It's okay, Everton fans saying, "Oh yeah, another club will come and buy Everton. Another kind of owner will come and buy Everton," and that's all well and good. But they've got to then pay for the club and then pay the debt off as well. Like they're going to have to be serious owners to be able to do that.
There's only one man that could do this. He loves a bargain. He loves to, when administration strikes, he loves to swoop in there in his helicopter and get a good deal. How would they feel about Mike Ashley coming in, Chris?
Well, funnily enough, I've just found the message that he sent today. He said rumours that Usmanov is actually behind the 777 firm, and after today's news, I'm really starting to believe it. And then he wrote, "Imagine if 777 go bust and we don't have to pay the 200 million back. Hawley, meaning me, will have absolute kittens." So he reckons Usmanov is behind 777 and that they could go bust. And then when the new owners come in, i.e. still Usmanov, they won't have to pay the 200 million because they will have gone bust. But I'm not convinced. I mean, there is all kinds going on, behind the scenes, a lot of foul play going on, and all deals being done and stuff like that. But as I reminded my Everton and Liverpool mates today, it doesn't really matter what owners you get because they're not going to be as good as the Saudis, and they all admitted that. So it'll be interesting to keep one eye on Everton, but I think the 7-7 deal probably will go through. But how long they stay in charge of Everton, who knows? Because they seem pretty shady themselves. I mean, I reminded them, about Isaac Hayden not getting paid from Standard Liège, who I believe are also owned by 777. There you go. Yeah. So I've warned him of that as well, but he reckons there's more at play.
Well, there seems to be some confliction with how many points. David and Alan have both said 9. Paul has said 10. For me, it's not enough. Come on, 15 to 18. Come on, let's get it done. But no, yeah, go on, get them into the minuses. Put there as well.
10 points, okay.
10 from Dave. Just back to Newcastle for a second. Andy Ford asked this question. I know the answer already, but I'll ask it anyway. Andy asked the question: would you sell Isak if it meant we got both Sesko and Gyökeres in as replacements? Wilson as a third choice with his suspect injury record, it means we would be covered better. It's a no from me, Andy. No way. I want Sesko. I think Gyökeres would cost too much, and I wouldn't pay what the fee that they'd be looking for him. But no way am I selling Isak to fund any of that. That would be shooting yourself right in the foot.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, unfortunately, Andy, it's a good proposal, but unfortunately, I can't see us selling Isak. I can't see us selling him, and I really, 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 really don't want to lose him. You boys will remember when we did a talking tune. It was a while ago, and I think it was Pete who asked the question and went around the panel and said, if you had to lose one of them, who would it be? And I said I prefer to lose Bruno over Isak because I just think he's so hard to replace. And I know I don't want to put a spoiler on it because I know there's a question about that, but he's just so hard to replace, and I couldn't fathom losing Isak. I just couldn't.
Yeah, because Ian asked the question: if we sold Isak, where do you get another Isak? You don't, too easily anyway.
There's no point replacing a striker that you can't replace, and you're getting two potentially really good players in Gyökeres and Sesko, and I say potentially because they're playing. They're not playing in the elite league. The Premier League it's fast paced. It's an elite league. You need certain qualities to be successful, and we've already seen it. We've talked about, and we were laughing kind of at West Ham letting Scamacca go, and look what he did to Liverpool and Haller at West Ham as well. And he's gone off to Dortmund. He's a quality player. We've talked about other strikers that have come through the doors of other clubs and have just not hit the ground running in the Premier League. There's no guarantee that these guys are going to come in and do what Alexander Isak is doing. Alexander Isak is doing it in this league for Newcastle United. It's so hard to replace that. And there's no surprise for me why some of the top teams are now looking at him, because they're thinking, wow, he's literally hit the ground running. And he's 24 years old and he's only going to get better. Like, we want that to be at Newcastle United. We want to see Alexander Isak score 18 to 20 goals every season at Newcastle United, because if we have that, we are in a position where we can go and compete with anybody. And all I have to do is just put this up on the screen. Most goals scored at home this season. That's down. A lot of that is down to Alexander Isak and his ability to put the ball in the back of the net. Look at the teams that we're competing with: Bayern Munich, Leverkusen, who won the Bundesliga, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, all below us. Right in that, we're a free-flowing, goal-scoring team with Alexander Isak at the tipping point. We cannot afford to let him go. No chance.
Just to link into you mentioned Gocares. He was at Sporting Lisbon. I look at is it Wolves? He got, I think his name's Fabio Silva. I think they got him from, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Benfica. I'm sure they paid about 50-60 million for him. And now, like, they don't know what to do with him. He literally don't know what to do with him. And he's a young striker, looks decent, young striker, and he can't even get a game. And you're thinking that they forked out the best part of 50-60 million. And it just goes to show sometimes when you bring the player in from a different league, it doesn't always work out. But Alexander Isak has just been, since he come from La Liga with Real Sociedad, he's just hit the ground running. And he's just unplayable at times. He's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I've got a question here for Pete, and then I'll link it in to a little thing I want to play. So it comes from Nobby Clark, and Pete, it says, when is your brother back unloaded? Lee, Chef Lee.
Chef Lee, yeah. I was seeing him at the weekend. Ben have some chicken ready. That's all I've got to say. No, he'll be back. He'll be back. We always look forward to having him back, because he's he knows all things French football. That will be linked with the number of French players, and if not, we'll just get an update on what the French football scene is like. But yeah, he'll be back unloaded, and he'll be back. When we go big, when it comes to the summer, we're gonna.
Hold that thought, because next week may be the start of that. Guess what's back?
I like the way you kiss me. I like the way I like the way you kiss me. I can tell you miss me. I can tell it is. I'm trying to be romantic. I'll hit it from the back. You don't get attached. I like the way you kiss me. I can tell you miss me.
Yes, it is back. Fully Loaded Transfer Show is back. Kicking off your summer. Get those fingers ready to point. Great age.
Love it. I've not seen that. That's quality.
Oh, it's brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
So here we go into next week. All things going well, we will kick off Fully Loaded Transfer Show, and then we'll go right through the summer. Keep you busy. And the different variations and flavors as well. We're talking about, and hopefully player reactions to signings to come, and departures as well. So yes, looking forward to that. Right, boys, how are we in time? Yeah, let's do another few questions and see where we are. This is a good one from Gary D. Lads, did you expect our sponsorship deals to be further on than we are? To be honest, I thought we would have had stadium naming rights by now, and also training top sponsorship deals and all that. But I know there's a lot has happened. A lot more probably has to happen. I imagine though they're doing it strategically for a reason, that they don't want to release it all in one go and then to be some blocker by the Premier League that screws us over some way and it can't be calculated as part of the PSR calculations. But so I'm hoping it's that they have a plan. Well, I know they have a better operation than what I've had before, so they know what they're doing. But yeah, what's your thoughts on that, lads?
I agree with you, Daz. I think it's strategic. I think it's planned. As with anything with this ownership group, like I don't think it's because they're sitting there and someone's gone, hey, don't forget you need to get your training kit sponsored. Oh shit, yeah. Like this will all be part of a plan. And I believe that they're probably maximizing this time to try and get the best possible training kit and stadium sponsor. Really, really believe it. Wouldn't even surprise me actually if they thought, you know what, let's just hang fire, and maybe they're going to strike while the iron's hot. Maybe they're going to try and do it, if and when we win a trophy, if we get Champions League, who knows? I think it is all part of a strategic plan, because you don't want to jump in, commit to a 3, 4, 5 year deal, and then go, ooh, if only we'd waited, we could have got them, or we could have got that, or we could have got a bigger deal. I do think there's a reason why they're waiting, and it is, yeah. So I completely agree with you, that.
Yeah. Strategic. They have to. It's all about the accounts for me. Is that they have to show each year that they're making progress. There's no point in them getting all these sponsors in once and just smashing it all on 1 year's account. However, if you do it strategically, every year there's a nice increment, nice increase of sponsorships, nice increase of money. You're seeing that natural, organic progression year upon year upon year. That's exactly what you want. And I wouldn't be surprised, boys, honestly, genuinely wouldn't be surprised to hear an announcement of a training ground sponsor, or a training ground or a training kit sponsor. And that then goes on next year's books. So you can see a progression there. And then maybe the next year, training ground, next year. Wouldn't even be surprised, boys, if in a couple of years' time, with a stadium expansion, we then get a sponsor for that particular stand. Opening the new stand, that stand gets a sponsor. Or you can open it up as a stadium sponsor. And then you've got a stadium sponsor for a few years, and then you've got a brand new stadium that you can sponsor the whole lot. Like, sponsor the lot. Like, for me, it doesn't make sense. Brand new stadium, go and get Adidas to sponsor your stadium. Just go and get them, because they'll just pay a shed load of money to sponsor your stadium, and then you've got all that money building up nicely as you go along. We're doing what we need to do. We'll be absolutely fine.
Not to mention, Pete, I was going to say, sorry, that was just to add into that. Not to mention, if we'd have got the training ground, say it was a training ground sponsor, if we'd have got the training ground sponsor this time last year, now it would be worth a hell of a lot more. In a year's time from now, it's going to be worth even more. Mm-hmm. So it's just waiting and waiting and waiting so that you can justify to the Premier League, oh, yeah, well, we, I don't know, say it's 20 million. Last year, maybe we would have struggled to justify 20 million because they'd have gone, hang on a minute, you finished top 4, but, whereas now we can go back-to-back European campaigns, hopefully really successful next season. We can justify, no, we're 40 million now because Man United are getting 80 million. So we want 40 million. Do you know what I mean? So gradually, the longer that you wait, the bigger you get, and then your ceiling's a bit higher.
True. Yeah. Because if you start low, if you did it straight away, you're kind of stuck on that, say, 5 million for a couple of years, or you can only increment it small. But if you go in big after a couple of years, it makes sense. They have a plan. We have faith in. Trust the process. Isn't that the line we roll out? Right, we've got two good comments, one funny one and then one serious one. I'll go for Dave Bullman's one first. Do you think Richie will be driving the team bus when we win the Champions League? Why not? It would be interesting with his HGV license or whatever it is he's picked up. So nice one, Matt Ritchie. Then onto the serious one is from Callum. Callum asks, rumours that Joelinton is back as well. And then the follow-up question is, if tonight's rumours are true regarding Joelinton, does he come straight back in on Saturday? I think Eddie wouldn't rush him in myself. I think he'd ease him back in, maybe give him a couple of minutes if he was. I think what's the point in breaking down? I'd say ease him in gently is for the approach I would go with. I'd say Eddie would go with as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think you've got to ease him back in. He's been out for months now. You can't just throw him straight back in the first team. That's a Steve Bruce type of thing. That is, you've got to be very, very careful with him. I think playing Elliot Anderson again in that midfield, and then later on in the game, bring him on. You're either bringing him on to shut up shop, or you're bringing him on to try and win the game, or try and get back into the game. Regardless, you're bringing on a quality player who's going to be absolutely chomping at the bit to come back in and do a job for the team. So yeah, regardless, I think it's a great game for him to come back in. I think we're going to need someone like him, a bit of steel at Turf Moor. But yeah, definitely.
Yes, I started that from Craig, and I was looking for Craig's question then, and I do have it started, and I did think it was a good question. So we're going to that one next, Craig. Craig asks, which two centre-backs would you sign this summer? We need two with Botman out until December. I'll jump in as well. I think we send the two boys on free transfer, and Lloyd Kelly and Tucson from Fulham, and then that way we free up money elsewhere. So I'd sign those two straight off.
Yeah, I think depending on the budget. Well, I'm saying depending on the budget. Like I'd like to sign both anyway, but I think if we sign both of those, not saying we'll get both, but they would be two that I particularly want, because you're upgrading the squad and you're not laying out much money. Obviously, there'll be a decent signing on fee, I'm sure, because they're both for free. But it's minimal in terms of spend, particularly because of their age. They are great age, so it's a good investment. But yeah, I think the big right centre back will probably come at the end of next season when Jamal Lascelles leaves. That's when I think the big centre-back will come, the big right centre-back. I don't think we'll fork out massive on a right centre-back this window, purely because of money and also because we've got Fabian Schär for now. Callum's put there Lloyd Kelly and Ousmane Diamond, which,
yes.
I'd be more than happy with that, don't get me wrong, but Ousmane Diamond's probably 50 mil plus. So would I prefer to spend that on a right winger or a central midfielder or a striker? Probably. But if money's no object, yeah, brilliant. Obviously, I'd love to get a right centre-back in, but I think Fabian Schär's got at least another year playing as the first team right centre-back. And Jamal Lascelles, yes, he's out for a period of time, but that's where Tosin Adarabioyo would come in. So I think we'll buy a bit of a makeshift right back, so somebody who can come in and do a job, hopefully Tosin Adarabioyo. If not, I think we'll probably get someone on a budget. I don't think you'll see a Sven Botman type signing for the right side of the central defence, but that's just my opinion, because I think there's other positions this season that we need to upgrade.
What are you doing, Pete?
I'm getting Tosin Adarabioyo. There's so many pools of defenders you could buy. You could be going big and buying expensive, but I agree. I don't see it. I don't see us going and spending 60, 70 million on a centre back, not this summer. However, a player that I talked about before, Dean Huijsen, who's on loan at Roma from Juventus. I wouldn't pass him up. I think he's 18. I think he's a talented young centre back. I think it'd be a no-brainer to get someone like him in. He can bring the ball out, big, tall. I think he's like 6'5". Brings the ball out like Fabian Schär. Great range of passing, decent in the air as well. And I just think he's a defender that you could really work with, and really kind of build in. And there's rumours that he could potentially be sold from Juventus for sort of like 20, 30 million, which is a no-brainer. It's a great fee. It's a great fee to sign a centre back like that. So if you could get two centre backs for 30 million, that have got huge like potential and huge quality in Adebayo and Huijsen, you're laughing because you're buying 2 centre backs for the price of one. You've then got Shaw and you've got Byrne, so you've got 4 centre backs in there ready to go for next season. Particularly if we're playing in Europe, boys, we're going to need 4 centre backs.
Yeah,
The thing about it is, if we get European football, no matter what it is, whether it's Europa League, Europa Conference League, we cannot add Sven Botman and Jamal Lascelles as players in this squad. Because I'm sorry, you're probably not going to see them till January. You're not going to see them back 100% fit until March. That's the season, pretty much, in a nutshell. So, as much as we hope they're going to be back early, it's not just about getting them back on the training ground. It's getting them back regularly playing on the pitch at 100% capacity, and that's going to take time.
Pre-season.
Yeah, no preseason. We can't afford it. That's exactly what you're saying. We can't afford to consider them in our squad this season. So we need to go out and get players that are ready to go. We need a squad. If we're going to learn anything from this season, we need a squad big enough to manage a European campaign. So go out and get a free transfer in Adebayo, get in Dean Huijsen for 30 million, potentially, let's just say, 18 years old, that can come in and do a job. He's playing for Roma and doing well for them. On top of that, I still think we get Lloyd Kelly as a left back. Free. Get both of them. Lloyd Kelly's left back. Those 2 as your centre backs. I think the defence then is in a really good position, adding Hall and Livramento to Trippier. I think the defence is stopped just by signing those 3 players.
I'm not forgetting, obviously, we've got Emil Kraft, who can fill in at right centre-back. Not ideal, I know. We've got Alex Murphy, who can fill in, I believe, at left centre-back, I think. So, back, there's still a couple of options there. And somebody in the chat, Nobby Clark, he put, don't forget about Kafel Heffernan. So there's still a few options there, boys.
What you want? No, I saw that question.
What you want, though, boys? And let's be honest here. You don't want Kraft as your backup option. With all due respect to Emil Kraft, Emil Kraft has been our backup option currently because other players are injured, and that's fine. But you don't want Kraft being your backup option if Tosin Adebayo or somebody else Fabian Shaw gets injured. You don't want that. You want Kraft to be your Javi Manquillo. You want him to be your kind of third option if things go down. You want Kraft to come in and play when you're having multiple injuries in that position, like we've had, not being the guy to come in next. And this is where I want Eddie Howe and the scouting team to really think about their signings. And they will, of course we do. We trust them to make the right decision. But they need to really be thinking about this. Let's not go, oh yeah, Kraft can do another year. Let's go to the well again and let him be the backup. No. Same with Dan Burn. Yep.
Sorry. Switching tab and that popped up.
It's the same with Dan Burn.
Wasn't a hint.
For as good with Dan Burn, like, you don't want him to be your guy that's going to be playing week in, week out. Like, with all due respect, you don't want him to be starting at centre back for Newcastle United next season. You just don't, because you don't want to be putting that pressure on him to be starting every week. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we're going to start wrapping up now, lads, and that's why I switched over the tab. But so just to give a shout out to Manscape, and you will have seen the code flashing at the bottom of the screen, and you will have seen Chris flashing as well. But that's why you had to take him off screen earlier. But for 20% off and a free shipping, use the code loaded20 on manscape.com, manscape.eu, whatever Manscape you want to go on. It'll allow you to use the code. But support for Loaded Mag NUFC is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below the waist grooming. Shaving your jewels doesn't have to be a risky business anymore, thanks to the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. The trimmer is all about keeping things smooth and safe so you can trim with confidence. treat your wrinkly berries and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping, as we've just mentioned, using the code LOADED20. With Manscaped, it's easy grooming, no surprises. So yeah, see, these are some of the products available on manscaped.com. Go check them out. Plenty of options there. But that is it for us for the night. Thanks to everyone for coming and listening to us talk crap for an hour and a half, just shooting the breeze. But make sure you smash that like button on the way out. We will be back with an away days, and it's still a work in progress. But there's one we're going to target Thursday, I think, for away days, and we'll be back with a reaction show. Actually, a reaction show is going to be different this time because we're going to switch it back again to the tab, because we're going to be for a reaction show. We're going to come be live at 9 a.m. not before the match. 9 a.m. the Sunday morning, so the day after the match. So we're going to try something different for our loaded reaction at 9 a.m. So it's an early one. So set the alarm clocks or catch it on watch back as well. That's also another option. But that's it. Anything else you want to say, lads?
No, thanks everyone for the great questions. Sorry if we didn't get to all of them. I'm sure we'll do another one, so we'll make sure we try and prioritize those that we didn't get questions to. But yeah, great questions, good chat, and yeah, we'll be back.
We're back. What else is back? There's something else back. You're really sure there is.
I like the way you kiss me. I like the way I like the way you kiss me. I can tell you miss me. I can tell it is. Not trying to